Today is September 28th. Welcome on into Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com. Brought to you, as always, by Munganast, St. Louis Acura, and Royal Banks of Missouri. I am Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey. And Rammer, you and I have been doing this show every single day for the entire Cardinals regular season this year. And yesterday is it's one of the little check marks that you put on the preseason goal list. That has been crossed off as the Cardinals clinch the National League Central, defeating the Milwaukee Brewers in yesterday's game.
Yeah, the team sets goals, and that's one of the goals. You can't win a World Series unless you get into postseason, and the best way to be in postseason is winning your division. And they accomplished that comfortably, in my opinion. They did what they had to do. It's funny, first half of the season, we were all a little concerned. But once the Cardinals turned it on, they really turned it on and vaulted past the Milwaukee Brewers, who are now one of the most desperate teams in baseball. Of the teams that still have a chance for postseason, the Brewers, not that they didn't go all out last night, but they really got to win tonight.
They are, the Brewers now still 1.5 games outside of that third wild card spot. The Phillies are not doing anything to better themselves, but Phillies now 3 of their last 7 and have lost ground to Milwaukee here the last few days. The Padres now 2.5 games up. The Padres have a little bit of breathing room now. They
do, and a good thing, because now they got to host the Dodgers.
Right, and so they
going to go down the wire.
It could. I mean, you start to look at all the schedules and you start to look at how these teams are lined up. And it's, usually in a normal year, we've talked about this many times, in a normal year, those last 3 games of the season usually were set up and were put together for a purpose when the schedule makers came together and did that. That's not the case this year, as the opening games of the what was the set schedule are now at the tail end. And, Cardinals example, I mean, never before has a team played 3 games at one place and then gone and played 3 games at the other team's place, like 6 games in a row. That never happens in normal scheduling, but that's what the Cardinals are going to get with the Pirates starting this weekend. We can get to the little bit pieces of the game last night, talk about the good, the bad, but I do want to talk about the celebration at the end of it. I got to tell you, you and I were talking about before the air, not since I've seen the video circulate, Rammer. I'm sure you have seen it at some point in your broadcasting days, the 1988 celebration of with Vince Coleman and Art Holliday in the Cardinal locker room, celebrating while Mike Bush is trying to sit there and watch it all as well. So it's or I guess maybe it was 87, probably. I guess they didn't really win anything in 88, so I think it was 87 when this happened. But I tell you what, I don't know if I have seen a Cardinal have more fun in a post-game champagne celebration than I have Lars Nootbaar the past 2 years with the St. Louis Cardinals.
He is something else, isn't he? Yeah, in '87, all of us TV guys were down there. It was pretty wild. It's always fun. Everybody's in a good mood, and it just makes it a blast for everybody. But Lars Nootbaar is embracing the situation, and he should. It's great.
Last year on the field, that's because last year, I mean, the COVID restrictions were still in place. The Cardinals, as a team, they were able to do their own thing in the locker room, and they were told, hey, if you want to go on the field, that's where the media is. That's where families are. You guys can go out and do whatever. And it got to the point where Lars did not want to leave the field. He was having so much fun out there after the game. And then yesterday, if you haven't seen it, the Cardinals have posted it on all of their socials. It was Newt News, as somebody I don't know if they gave it to him or if he took a microphone from one of the Cardinals employees and went around and tried to interview Cardinal players. Paul Goldschmidt wanted nothing to do with it. But the other guys kind of played along, and you can tell just how much that team loves Lars Nootbaar.
I think the bottom line is stick to the pepper grinder.
And you know what? Hey, last night Yachty was the one grinding the pepper, watching his backup catcher Andrew Knizner hit a home run, a much needed home run. For as much time as Andrew Knizner has been playing here lately, he really needed to get something going offensively, because we still really don't know how much or what that rotation is going to look like behind the plate in the postseason.
I think you'll play Yachty as much as you can.
Right.
And then it'll be up to his knees and back and arm and all those sorts of things. It's hard for me to imagine him wanting to come out of a game, but it could happen. But I think he's always the first choice until there's a reason not to be the first choice.
Right. And that's why I kind of say rotation, because I don't imagine it is 100% Yachty. I can't imagine that it is. If you get up 3-0 or 2-0 in a series, do you give him a day off?
I wouldn't. If he wanted to play and was healthy, it felt good. If he feels good, if it's me, and as you know, I identify as a baseball manager. So in today's society, you have to accept that. That's
right.
How I identify.
Okay.
And if it's me, if he says he's good to go, he's playing.
You know what? To be seen. Hopefully, they play a lot of games in October, and we have to see how much. We get to see how much he plays. It'll be now that they've clinched. 7 more games left. I wonder how many Yachty plays in these. I imagine he will play on. I imagine he plays on Sunday. I imagine he's in the lineup on Sunday. I imagine he does not play the entire game on Sunday. I'm going to guess that there is going to be something that will happen at some point in the game where they make a big deal out of removing him from the final regular season home game at Busch Stadium.
Good point. Good point. And then maybe get one more in Pittsburgh at the end.
Right. And just, at least the start, at least the catch. And we also know, too, Wainwright's pitching on Sunday. So they've set it up to move that way. So Yachty will be in the lineup for that one.
Maybe like a Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, something like that.
Get him out there. Also of note last night, Paul Goldschmidt, who we've already mentioned here on the show, maybe is starting to get out of that slump just a little bit. Paul Goldschmidt yesterday goes 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, a double in one of those. Did strike out twice, but you got to see sneaky Paul Goldschmidt steal a base too. When that game was still close, he had a read and he went.
Yeah, especially since he probably felt bad that he didn't get the second base on the hit. He probably regretted that he should have been at second, so he said, I better get over there.
I'll tell you what, the one thing that jumped out to me, that they did a great job on the camera angle of that Paul Goldschmidt single where he kind of just fisted the ball over the shortstop's head, and you see Pop Warner at third base. As soon as that ball lands, I mean, he just sits there, and they were going to abuse Christian Yelich's arm. There was not a single doubt in his mind as to whether or not they were going to test the arm of Christian Yelich with Lars Nootbaar coming around the bases.
It's really sad because a couple of years ago, he was the best player in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And injuries have sapped his power and his throwing arm. And I think he's still really valuable. But even though he can run and go get the ball, which is great, he's probably going to be a DH, and it's really sad because he could really play.
The another thing too from the game yesterday, one of the because I mentioned Paul Goldschmidt stealing the base. That was in the he stole that in the third inning. When did he steal that? He stole that in the fourth inning was when Paul Goldschmidt. I'm going back through the game notes here of this. No, fifth inning when he stole that. They must have seen something in the pitchers of Milwaukee because Paul Goldschmidt got a great jump on that. Yeah. And then earlier in the game too, that's what I was looking back to seeing the exact time of it when Tommy Edman got picked off of second base. And they had mentioned on the broadcast too that he had gotten so comfortable getting far off the base. There must have been something that the Cardinals, the coaches have picked up with Milwaukee's signs or with their pitchers going home that they felt comfortable getting the leads and getting the running the bases the way they were.
Or thought they did because they did get Edman out.
Right.
So maybe they only thought they got the signs.
Yeah.
So, they were in those situations, they were kind of 1 for 2. And then as you pointed out, Warner sending the runner when Yelich already had the ball, he just had no velocity on the throw. And but this is a team that when it's played well this year has gone first to third and second to home as well as any team in baseball. And that's one of the things we all believe they have to do to be successful in October.
Yeah, so we see tonight. Always fun to see what the lineup looks like the day after a clinch
Celebration.
for a lot of these teams. It is Jose Quintana going against Brandon Woodruff tonight. I imagine this is the kind of game. I mean, but they have the off day tomorrow too. So I think it's a lot of guys. You just go through the locker room and you say, okay, what do you want to do? You know, do you? And it's a night game. It's not, you're not following up with an afternoon game. They've had a whole day to recover from whatever they were out doing
Dehydration.
yesterday. Yeah, so you kind of say, hey, you have the off day tomorrow. What do you want to do? What do you want to do here?
I agree with that, and that's what I would do too. But there is the aspect of, do you owe it to the Phillies and Padres to play your best lineup tonight?
Yeah,
But not. Here's the thing. Yes, to a point. Yes, but not at the jeopardy of my own team. So if a guy's really hung over and yakking, I'm not putting him in the lineup, or if a guy just, hey, skipper, I'm not feeling it, take the day. So yeah. I think you play the best guys that are available.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to guess you get Andrew Kisner out there again today catching. I do wonder, Goldschmidt, Arenado, what you do with those guys. Outside of that, I feel like too the team is young enough to where you don't really have the veterans that you would just give those days off to, and the Cardinals don't have that set 1 through 9 yet. I mean, we've talked about this with the way the outfield kind of shifts around. Outside of Yachty, Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Pujols, nobody else has really earned that day after clinching, day off type of rest.
One thing to look for is one of your big 3 right-handed hitters. Do any of them want a day off? Donovan could go over and play third, and the Young could go to short. Pujols could play first, and so of those 3. Maybe one of them gets a day off, or you rotate him through during the game.
I'm going to guess Pujols gets the day off today with a day off on Thursday, and I'm going to guess he plays all 3 games this weekend. I'm going to guess he starts I'm going to guess he's in the starting lineup for all 3 games at home this weekend for fans that paid the money to watch the final 3 home games of Albert Pujols. That's going to be my prediction.
Here's the other thing. If you're not hydrated, do you tell Ollie, hey, the background here is too good. I want to rake here. Probably not. You probably let your headache be your guide.
And the other thing we haven't mentioned yet today, a guy who I don't imagine we will see tonight, Ryan Helsley, just continues to impress the baseball world. Ollie brings him in the 8th to face the middle of the order, and then says, you know what? Hey, go finish it off. Go clinch us the division. You're going to get 2 days off at least right after this. I thought that was a good move by Ollie, a smart move by him to know what was at stake in that moment. And then, my God, 104 miles an hour for Ryan Helsley is just unheard of.
And so as we go into October, and hopefully it's very deep, his usage and the way it's manipulated will be one of the fascinating sidebar stories to watch. When you've got one game following another, I'm not really interested in having him go 2 innings. But if it's a day before an off day, maybe go for it. So I think that kind of stuff will be interesting. Or if the heart of the order, if Bryce Harper and the heart of an order is up in the 8th, you go to him there. And then are you comfortable going to Gallegos like we've seen a couple of times? Probably so. Or do you say, the heck with it, we're going with Helsley to the end, and we'll worry about tomorrow. I think that's going to be an interesting development to watch.
Rob Friedman on Twitter, or at Pitching Ninja, if you follow that account, has a pretty cool overlay. What he does is he has overlays of pitchers with really nasty pitches to kind of show what they look like and kind of give you an idea of just how freaking hard it is to hit a baseball. That not only is it just fascinating to see how much some of these pitches move, but to see the overlays of the pitchers and that they have the exact same movement, arm slots, everything, every single time that you see that there are blurred together, 2 or 3 of the same pitcher, but every time that arm slot's coming through the same spot, the ball just ends up in a different point. He shows Ryan Helsley's 94-mile-an-hour slider compared to Ryan Helsley's 104-mile-an-hour fastball, and just
No,
what
thank
that
you. No, thank you.
and what that looks like to a batter who has that split of a second to decide, is this ball down the middle or is it going to be a foot outside?
And that's why it's amazing when somebody does get a hit off of him.
Yeah.
Or any of those other guys that throw gas like that.
Right. So yeah, it's I would recommend going and checking that out on Twitter, the Pitching Ninja, as and you could see all of those videos along with just every other disgusting pitch that's thrown by a major league pitcher each and every night in baseball. Hey, this has been another edition of Daily Cards Live here on Claibs Online. We're brought to you each and every day by Royal Banks of Missouri and Mungenast St. Louis Acura. Hey, at Mungenast St. Louis Acura, they are the nation's only 30-time precision team winner in the nation. Go to their website, stlouisacura.com, and see all the cars that they have there on the lot at the showroom floor right there on Manchester, 13720 Manchester Road in St. Louis. We will be back tomorrow on the Cardinals off day to look back at what happened in Milwaukee and give a look ahead to what the weekend has in front of them, along with all the other races in Major League Baseball. Yep. We will touch on that tomorrow, too, as we get down to the final week of the season here in Major League Baseball. He is Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. We will talk to you tomorrow again right here at ClaibsOnline.com.
From our roots in St. Louis, Royal Banks of Missouri is branching out to continue serving you with our locations in St. Charles, Jerseyville, Granite City, and now in Hannibal, Center, and New London. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank in your community.